What's up, guys? Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to tell you my experience in Malaysia. I was partially deported in Malaysia. This is not literal deportation. So my experience was I've been to East Malaysia multiple times, Sarawak. So there was a time I tried to visit Sabah. I tried to visit one of the islands. It's called Sempurna Island in Tawau. So I booked my ticket. I booked my return ticket to Sabah with AirAsia. So when I reached the airport, the airline staff, they tried to tell me that I cannot go to Sabah or Sarawak without a special permit. And then I tried to explain to them that I've been to East Malaysia multiple times and this is not my first time. So as far as I have my return ticket and I have my schedule on how long I'm going to be there, they always permit me to go. And she said okay. So and then I took my passport and then I boarded the plane. And when we arrived at Sabah, when we arrived at their airport there, the immigration officer told me, when they checked my passport, they told me that I cannot be there if I don't have a special permit from the government. And I was kind of confused, because when you call the immigration from Peninsula Malaysia here, they tell you that there's no special permit to visit there. So, and I haven't really acquired any special permit for the multiple times I've been to Sarawak. So I tried to explain to the immigration officer that this is not my first time of visiting East Malaysia. I told him that I've been to Sarawak multiple times, and he told me yes, that's a different case. But them here, they required a special permit from me. So I think that although in your passport, in your visa, if you came here as a student or as a worker also, or I think all of the visas that you can use in Malaysia here, they usually write on the visa that this visa permits the holder to enter and remain in Peninsula Malaysia multiple times as long as you want, as far as the visa and the passport remains valid. That's what they usually write on the visa page. So I know this, they didn't include East Malaysia, they didn't say all of Malaysia. So that's what happened. And then when I approached the immigration counter, the immigration officer told me that I cannot cross the border, that they will not permit me to cross the border since I didn't have a special permit from Peninsula here before I went to Sabah. So I explained to them that I've been to East Malaysia multiple times and this is not my first time, and this is how long I'm going to be staying there. I just want to visit the Sempurna Island just for 2 days, and I'll be returning back to Peninsula Malaysia. And the immigration officer refused. So he took my passport and he brought me to their waiting room, their office, and then they had to go dialogue with the airline, and then which is AirAsia. So they agreed that they're going to reschedule my flights. My return flight to Peninsula Malaysia was supposed to be in 2 days time, but they agreed with the airline to reschedule it immediately. So they rescheduled my ticket and put me back in the most recent available flight. So I had to fly back to West Malaysia. I had to fly back to the peninsula, and they gave the pilot my passport. The pilot was holding my passport all through this while I was in the airplane until we arrived at the airport here in the Peninsula Malaysia, and then they gave me back my passport. So they didn't allow me to cross the border to Tawau because they said I have to get a special permit from the immigration in Peninsula Malaysia. So I got to know that East Malaysia, they have their immigration autonomy, like Sarawak and Sabah, they have their immigration autonomy. They determine who comes and goes in their states. Even Malaysians from Peninsula Malaysia sometimes need permit if they are going to stay longer in East Malaysia. So that was kind of weird. I actually made a video about this some time ago. It's been quite a long time. I made a video about it and people didn't really understand what I was talking in that video, but this was my experience. So since then I haven't really been back there. But when I went to Sarawak, I never faced such issues. When I went to Sarawak, my experience was when I approached the immigration counter, the immigration officer took my passport and he asked me how long do I want to stay here, who am I going to meet, and then I showed him everything, and then he requested for my return ticket to Peninsula Malaysia. I gave him, and then he stamped me. I was supposed to stay about 4 days or so. He stamped me. He said he was going to give me 3 days only. I told him no, that my return ticket to Peninsula Malaysia is about 4 days. So if he gives me 3 days, that means I have to reschedule my flight, and then AirAsia is going to charge me extra fees. So I explained this to him, and then he agreed, and he gave me the days that I wanted to stay there. And then after then, I returned back to Peninsula Malaysia. So, but Sabah didn't agree, so I had to return back to Peninsula Malaysia without crossing the border. So this is a kind of partial deportation back to Peninsula Malaysia. I know some people wouldn't really understand this, but this is what happened to me. But I also have heard a lot of people complain about the same thing. I've also heard a lot of foreigners complain about the same thing. People have already experienced this multiple times also, so this is not the first time it's happening. So this is my experience visiting Sabah and how I was partially deported in Malaysia back to Malaysia. I was deported from Malaysia back to Malaysia. So that's literally how it is. And this is my experience, guys, in Malaysia on how I was deported in Malaysia. Thank you guys for watching, and then I hope you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I'll see you again. Bye bye.